Students, we we will discuss about the verbs. Verbs are words that represent actions that are external. Example: run, jump, work, and internal. As for example, love, think, consider. Without verbs, we cannot do anything, we cannot feel anything, cannot even be anything. A verb from the Latin verbum meaning word. Hence, verb is derived from the Latin word verbum, which means word. Is a word that in syntax that is sentence structure, conveys an action, an occurrence, or a state of being or condition. A verb is the part of a sentence that tells us what the subject performs. Verbs are the words of English sentences. A verb may tell us what a person or thing does, as Ram laughs, Mohan reads. Second, what is done to a person or thing, as Hari is scolded, the window is broken. Third, what a person or thing is, as the car is dead, I feel sorry. Every sentence needs at least one verb, except for imperative sentences, that is commands. A sentence also needs a subject. Means every sentence needs at least one verb, except for imperative sentences. A sentence also needs a subject, the thing doing the action. I repeat again, except for imperative sentences, especially in commands, a sentence also needs a subject, the thing doing the action. A verb is a word or a combination of words that indicates action or a state of being or condition. Now, the verbs. First, we discuss about two verbs, dynamic and static verbs. Dynamic verbs usually describe actions we can take or think that happen. There are many types of dynamic verbs, but most of them describe activities or events which can begin and finish. These verbs can be used in the simple and perfect forms, as for example, plays, played, has played, had played, etc., as well as continuous or progressive forms. Yes, is playing, was playing, has been playing, had been playing, so on. In other words, most verbs describe a physical action or activity, something external that can be seen or heard. These verbs are formally known as dynamic verbs but can also be called action or event verbs or fientive verbs. Means dynamic verbs are also called action verbs, event verbs, or fientive verbs. Example: eat, drink, go, type, read, write, listen, speak, watch, say, grow, work, sleep, cook, talk, play, show, activity. Example: she plays tennis every Friday. Melt, show, process. The snow melts every spring. Heat also shows momentary action. There are a lot of actions that take place in our minds and feelings which are not external. Verbs that describe mental or internal actions are still dynamic verbs, but not always. These include process verbs, which describe actions of transition. Examples: consider, guess, change, grow, live, endure, succeed, and fail, and so on. Now, state of being verbs. Stative verbs usually refer to a state or condition which is quite static or unchanging. They can be divided into verbs of perception or cognition, which refer to things in the mind. Cognition means or perception means which refer to things in the mind, or verbs of relation, which describe the relationships between things. We can also define stative verbs describe a state rather than an action. Verbs relate to thoughts and opinions, things which are permanent, things which don't have a beginning or end. This is the difference between dynamic and static words. Static verbs. Dynamic verbs are action verbs, but static is not. It has no beginning or end. It is permanent, it is unchanging. Examples love, hate, like, see, hear, sound, think, meaning have an opinion. Mind, meaning care about. Recognize, seem, have, meaning own. We cannot use these verbs in the continuous or progressive form, just opposite to dynamic verbs. Other stative verbs are agree, believe, doubt, guess, imagine, know, mean, think, remember, suspect, understand, thoughts and opinions, dislike, hate, like, love, prefer, want, wish. These are feelings and emotions. A stative verb is a verb used primarily to describe a state of being. It is I am or situation. Means I have something that is, feels or appears. A lot of verbs have more than one meaning, so they can be used as dynamic or static. These includes perception words, which, which is related to our sense organs. Example see, hear, taste, smell, feel. Action verbs can be transitive or intransitive. A transitive verb is a verb that requires a direct object, which is a noun, pronoun, or noun phrase that follows the verb and completes the meaning of sentence. Means a verb that requires an object to receive the action. Example, he is reading the newspaper. Here, direct object is newspaper. Intransitive verb questions how. Verbs that don't use either a direct or indirect object are called intransitive. These verbs are complete actions by themselves. Example go, walk, run, talk, sit, sleep, work. We can say I go, he walks, she runs, they talk, I sit, she sleeps, and we work. These sentences are complete themselves. Verbs that use both direct and indirect objects are called ditransitive. They do not always need an indirect object, but they have the option. Example throw, make, buy, sell, lend, read, give, bring. When we make sentences from these verbs, sometimes we use an indirect object with direct object. A verb can be either dynamic or static depending on the meaning. A verb sometimes act transitive while at other times act intransitive. These are known as ambitransitive. Example eat. We can say I already ate. Here there is no object, so it is intransitive. We can also say I'll already ate a sandwich. Here the sandwich is a direct object, and so this is a transitive verb. 8. Now, what is a direct and indirect object? A direct object is the person or thing that the action happens to, while an indirect object is the person or thing that receives the direct object. Both static and dynamic have verbs are have, think, feel. These verbs are used in both stative and dynamic verbs. Verbs they never verbs never used in continuous form are love, I can say love chocolates, like that show, hate cleaning, need a ride, know her, understand, appreciate, prefer, dislike, believe, realize, recognize, and belong, etc. Now, the other verbs are finite and non-finite verbs. The verbs which changes its form according to the tense of the sentence or person or number of the subject is called finite verbs. Finite means bounded. Now here we can see verbs bounded with three things: tense, person or number. Example, I like bread, but can also say he likes bread. I was playing, they were playing. The finite verbs act as the sentence root. They can be used as the only verb in the sentence, whereas all the others have to depend on some other word. Non finite verbs cannot perform action as the root of an independent clause. We play football today. We are going to play football. Here, to play is a non finite verbs. Non finite, not limited or controlled by three things. It does not change according to the tense, person, or number. Example, boiled. We, we can say, I ate boiled eggs. He eats boiled egg. Now, in each case, boiled is boiled. No changes in this. These are also called double parts of a speech. Now, in the example, I go to school to study. Here, study qualifies the go to school. So, it acts as adverb. I walk daily. To walk is a good exercise. Walking is a good exercise. Here, works as noun. Non-finite verbs are divided into three parts. Infinitives. First, infinitives. The infinitive is the base form of a verb that preceded by to. It works as a noun, an adjective, an adverb in a sentence. If not preceded by to, these are called bare infinitive. If preceded by to, then it is called full infinitive. Here, always remember in infinitives works as a noun, an adjective, and an adverb in a sentence. It comes at the place of subject, object, or complement. To run is a good exercise. Here, the to run noun infinitive or works as subject. I like to swim. Here, to swim is works as object. My dream is to purchase a car. Here, to purchase acts as a compliment. My brother gave me a cake to eat. Here to eat is adjective, acts like adjective. Mr. Verma came to teach me English. Here to teach qualifies to English. So teach behaves as adverb. Let him go home. She need not to stay here. Here, no verb is not preceded by to, so this is called bare infinitives. Second form is gerund. An ing form of a verb is used as a noun called gerund. Ing form of a verb is used as a noun is called gerund. Means verb plus ing. This is also called verbal noun. And you can say teaching is my hobby. Here, teaching is noun or subject. When only used as noun, object or complement. I like swimming. Here, swimming is object. My favorite hobby is singing. Here, singing is complement. Gerund verb plus noun, noun infinitive verb plus noun. In some sentences, both can be used. To walk or walking is a good exercise. Present participle verb, present participle in non-finite verbs, third type participle. The first is present participle. In this, verb plus ing used for continuous tenses or adjective. He is sleeping. We were playing football. But here playing is not in past participle. It is always in present participle because the third type of verb in past participle is played. Barking dogs seldom bite. He jumped from a running train. From a running train. Here running train running is acts like adjective. Second, past participle. Third form of verb used for perfect past and as a adjective. Suman has gone to school. When it acts as adjective, as example, fried rice tastes delicious. This is a broken coconut. Third is perfect participle in its having plus past participle with three form. Subject does next work immediate after completion of first. The first is perfect participle, indicate completed action. In this case, can say having completed my homework, I went to school. Second example, having plucked the flowers, she entered the temple. Now we can say she regular versus irregular verbs. Regular verbs form their past tense and past participle by adding ed or d or ied. Example, walk, jump, past participle is walked, walked. Arrive, arrived. Cry, we drop y and add ied, cried. Now, a fixed pattern when e, e in the last, we add only d, not e, then add ed, and if the cry is y, we can drop y and add ied. cry, die, etc. Irregular verbs don't follow the fixed pattern. We distinguish three types of irregular verbs. First, verbs in which all three forms are the same. Example, cut, 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 cut. In third, put, put, put. Verbs in which two of the three forms are the same. Example, sit, sat, sat. Read, read, read. Verbs in which all three forms are different. Ring, rang, rung, sing, sang, sung. Steal, stole, stolen. Break, broke, broken, etc. Become, became, become. Begin, began, begun. Blow, blew, blown. Break, broke, broken. Bring, brought, brought. Buy, bought, bought. Choose, chose, chosen. Come, came, come. These all are irregular verbs. Now, next day we will discuss about linking verbs and auxiliary verbs.